Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on this match day. We've got a watch along today. Very excited. Hope you are as well. Community Shield against Man City. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Our coverage starts at 1:30, but it's the 10 o'clock show. It's the Manchester United transfer news show and we've got lots to get into. I've actually got some news I didn't give you from Romano on last night's show, which was just amazing. An amazing show last night if you didn't see it. Thank you to everybody who's getting involved in our Super 6 tournament, which you can get involved in from last night. But lots and lots to get involved with this morning. We've got Branthwaite deal not dead. We've got Lindelof heading towards the exit door. We've got interest in Dalot from Spain. We've got Spain, De Jong, price set by Barcelona. Will Man United take a sniff at that? We've got Eric Ten Hag comments from the embargoed section last night. And also we've got a little bit around what I said from Fabrizio as well. We've also got a bit of breaking news coming in from Pletty. I have to be careful with the chat because some people last night tried to catch me out with a bit of Romano. I mean, look, honestly, this is not breaking news from Pletty. This is this was out last night, to be fair. It's not the news I was going to give you, but we'll start off with it. Basically, what happened is that Manchester United last night, if I just see if I can find this for you, Pletty is saying this, that advanced stage in negotiations between Man United and West Ham about a permanent deal for Wan-Bissaka. Both clubs are in contact now and want to finalise today, and they will. Medical is planned for the next 3 days. Verbal agreement between Man United and West Ham is done. And Wan-Bissaka. Personal terms are all agreed as revealed on August the 1st. He can sign a contract till 2030. Done deal very soon. You know what? Here's a bit of nostalgia for you. People saying, oh, you don't know anything, even though we've been doing it for 10 years. I remember Wan-Bissaka to Man United was announced officially on a Saturday at midday. I don't remember what year it was, but yeah, it was announced officially as a official deal on a Saturday at midday. So are we going to get something like that again? This is not the Spurs channel. I don't know why you're talking about Solanke. It may well be a good signing for Spurs, but it ain't nothing to do with Man United. So yeah, nothing to add about that. But to be fair, last night Fabrizio did give an update around Manchester United and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, basically saying that it was very, very, very close. So I don't think that Pletty has got the exclusive on that any more than anybody else, and I think we all know that it's going to happen. Hopefully, we will get here we go today. That would be great. I think that to be able to move on from that would be really, really, really good. Let me just for Wan-Bissaka, just got to ask something there. But yeah, look, that's not where I was going to start. But I think we all know that Wan-Bissaka to West Ham is going to happen. What I was going to start off with is that Fabrizio Romano last night did say that Manchester United are hoping to make 3 to 4 signings before the end of the transfer window. I forgot to bring it into the show last night, so I thought I'll bring it right in at the start of this show, and you've got that information there. So Fabrizio Romano is saying that Man United expect to make 3 to 4 tweets. He'll make more than 3 to 4 tweets. 3 to 4 transfers incoming between the now and the end of the month. Now, will one of those players be Jarrad Branthwaite? Because that's where we're going to start this morning. We're here to do the news. We're not here to try and repeat stuff, although sometimes stuff does get repeated. So the news this morning is that Victor Lindelof is generating a lot of interest from Italy and from Saudi Arabia. There has always been this indication that Victor Lindelof, despite being on 120 grand a week, actually wants to go and play first team football. That's always been the case around Lindelof. If interest is there for him to go, then there is every anticipation he will go. Now, who is going to give Lindelof that opportunity, I don't know. But what I will say is that if he goes, then I don't think Dalot's enough, because you've only got Dalot, Maguire, Evans, Yoro when he's fit and Martinez, I still think there might be an opportunity for another centre-back. Now, what we're hearing around Branthwaite is that Everton have not changed their stance. They won't change their stance. But Manchester United, as we know, are very much under Ineos about the long game. Now, we already know the links between Branthwaite and Ruud van Nistelrooy from PSV days. And we already know that Branthwaite's agreed personal terms with Manchester United. And we already know that Branthwaite is, whether you like it or not, one of Man United's priority transfers coming in before the summer. So what sort of being said at the moment is that Man United, if they're going to do a lot of activity in the last few weeks and they can actually offload some players, then there is no reason to believe that they won't go back in with a final offer for Branthwaite. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but remember what happened with Branthwaite. It was 35 plus 8, then it was 45 plus 5. The indication is that Man United feel they've got another bid in because they don't really feel that they went to their top of what they would give. And the rumour is that they will put that final bid in the final week just to say to Everton, well, it's now or never. Now, I think that's quite a clever thing to do, and it'll be very interesting to see if it materialises, because the thing about Branthwaite is that every transfer bid we've put in and every aspect of that deal has been very, very well documented. I mean, I think it was Chris Wheeler or the Daily Mail that actually led on this story. So there is a lot of information out there, but basically personal terms we knew about, the first bid we knew about, the second bid we knew about, and apparently the third bid will go in the last few days of the transfer window, and it will be something like 50 million plus maybe 5, maybe 10, which will come to about 55, 60 million altogether with add-ons, and it will just be dangled there in front of Everton in the final week. Now, Everton might say no, of course they might, but that's where we're at with that, and that's, what could happen. I wouldn't be too surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if United did it, because there are a lot of people that don't want us to go and sign Branthwaite, but Man United really do like him. And I guess we just have to wait and see how accurate that sort of rumour information is, because I think there's always been a third offer there. Where we get the money from, I don't know. I mean, I always think about United is that we're struggling to get Agate, we're struggling to get Dalot and Mazraoui, and yet we did bid for Branthwaite. Would we have got Branthwaite and Yoro? That would have been 100 million on two centre-backs, and would we still be looking at Dalot? Because Branthwaite's profile is very, very different to Dalot. So, I mean, maybe we were looking at all three, I don't know. But let's just see what happens with that. There has been another tweet coming out from Fabrizio Romano. Next one for West Ham, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Mazraoui to Man United expected to follow. That was the update from Romano last night about Wan-Bissaka. It was that West Ham are very busy with Todibo at the moment, but once that's sorted out, they'll move on to Wan-Bissaka. So I think that Wan-Bissaka, whilst some people think we might be getting Here We Go today, it might still be 2 or 3 days before it happens, because West Ham are working on Todibo, which obviously they're hijacking from Juventus. Now, some people think that, Ineos, Nice, who own Todibo, might have said to West Ham, do you want Todibo to kickstart this Wan-Bissaka deal? So we'll have to wait and see. But apparently Todibo is done. But I don't know. I don't think he's holding the shirt up or anything like that, is he? Or has he done his medical? I don't know. What I will say is West Ham in this transfer window have moved ridiculously quick. Will we sign CDM after Dalot and Mazraoui, says Nick. I think with look, we did the video on Agate yesterday. We know that we're after a midfielder. It's very obvious that at the moment we're working on Wan-Bissaka, Mazraoui and Dalot, and then after that we probably will look at a midfielder, but we still need to sell a midfielder, I suppose. Patrick Lynch says, how confident are you that we get Dalot, Mazraoui and Agate? Feel like they're essential for the upcoming season? I think Dalot and Mazraoui I'm very, very confident about. Agate, I still think there's a lot of work to be done there, and it's a little bit difficult to understand what the next update's going to be around Agate. Yes, we're still interested, but I don't really understand, what it is that we might look at. A lot of people saying Pletty goal tweets. I mean, please, can I just say something to you then? Turn up at 10 o'clock. we spoke about it 10 minutes ago when it came out. So, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, Malps has got Pletty and we spoke about it I mean, is it just me that just gets baffled by the stupidity of this? I mean, we're in the midst of talking about the news, and we literally spoke about that 10 minutes ago, and there's people going Pletty. No, there isn't a new one. I'm there. I'm right there. I've got notifications on. There's not a new one. There's no new one. So what we'll start doing actually is I don't need updates about who's putting tweets out because it flashes up on my screen anyway. So what we're going to do from tonight is I'm just going to cancel all the words Romano, Ornstein, Pletty, and we're going to start timing out people who put stuff in the chat because we don't need it. You know, we've been doing this for 10 years. I don't need to be told what's going on. And people in the chat don't want to know about you and your slow sports news. So we're going to change the way that we're going to run the news show from now on because I'm getting tired of it. I'm sure everyone else is getting tired of it, of being distracted by morons, basically. Very concerning that we're not prioritising a left-backs as United won. I think with the left-back, we will look later in the transfer window, definitely. I think that's what will happen there. And also, morning Mark, curious to know why do Ineos play the long game, even if it does mean landing on the original targets? Financial, I suppose. Financial. De Jong to United is in the news again. What is not in the news is that pigs are also going to fly, says Karan. I tell you what, I saw a very funny tweet today. I mean, I don't know whether Fabrizio will find it funny, but basically somebody put a tweet out saying that, I can't remember what it was. It was something like a child was born this morning in Manchester Hospital and the child's... I've messed that up. I can't. It was. Let's move on. That's the worst story update I've ever given. I don't even know. I don't even know what that was. I really don't. Right. Okay. I don't know why today has turned into Toxic Sunday, but if we've got moderators, can we just start blocking people? I'm really not up for it this morning. It's just. You know, we had a great show last night, probably one of the best shows we've done in a long time. And you come on feeling excited this morning, and it's just full of shit, to be honest with you. And I don't really understand why. If we get Wan-Bissaka, here we go. Are we in a position to get Mazraoui, here we go, on the same day, says James. Yeah, I'm not the CEO, mate. I don't know how that works, but I don't think we will get it today because I think that Dalot and Mazraoui are part of the same deal. Let me just give you some updates from Erik ten Hag, actually, because there is a watch along today, which is there's not. I don't know why I'm running it as a watch along. It's a Manchester United match against Man City in the Community Shield. So there was a bit of an embargoed section that came in last night, and some of it was a little bit concerning if I'm going to be honest, because he spoke about Zirkzee, and I just didn't like what I heard. I really didn't like what I heard at all. So basically, first of all, on players that are unavailable today, like Luke Shaw, he said this. I can't tell you what the issue is. With some of them, I also wouldn't call it an injury. It's part of building up into the season and a precaution because they had issues in the pre-season and in the spring. So I think he's specifically talking about Luke Shaw there, trying to say that it's not an injury, it's a precaution because he's had issues before. But the instant reaction to that is going to be, why are Man United taking the precautions on Luke Shaw that England didn't? You know, why are we the victim of Luke Shaw playing for England then? I mean, you can't sit there and say we're taking precautions about a player who's had problems in the spring. The spring, if you don't understand the seasons, is March and April. So why are we taking precautions for a player that was injured in the spring but went and played in a major tournament in June and July? And that is going to be the answer. Well, I've just given it. That's going to be the answer, isn't it? You know, why is Luke Shaw not ready to play today, but Bruno Fernandes is, Mainu is, you know, everyone else who played in that tournament is ready to go, but Luke Shaw were taking precautions on because he was injured in the spring. He played in a fucking Euros final. Like, he shouldn't be playing in that final if we need to take precautions with him ahead of this tournament. It's, you know, even I, as a massive fan of Luke Shaw, have to say that. Ashit says because the Charity Shield is a friendly, but Ashit, you don't understand anything about preparing a footballer for the start of the season, do you? So if Ashit was manager, he'd say to Luke Shaw, don't play in any pre-season games because they don't matter. I'm just going to start you against Fulham. And then when Luke Shaw starts against Fulham with no minutes in his legs at all and pulls his hamstring, we can all say to Ashit, you are a wonder manager, you are, with your stupid ideas about getting players ready for the start of the season. The whole point of pre-season, Ashit, is to give people minutes in their legs. We've got a manager who runs by laptop. He ain't going to start Luke Shaw against Fulham and give him 90 minutes if he's played no minutes in pre-season, is he? That's just not going to happen. So Luke Shaw could have played half an hour today. That's where I do agree with you. Luke Shaw could have played half an hour today as a precaution to feed him back in so he can start on Friday. If he's had no minutes because he's not there, how is he starting against Fulham without us all going, oh my God, how long is he going to last? But look, Eric Ten Hag had this to say, I heard the question, how do you address this game tomorrow? But also, even when it's coming into the league game, we are not in a position where we can risk players and lose them for a long time. So already, I think Ten Hag is on thin ice, isn't he, mentally, about injuries. But this is what he had to say about Zirkzee. Now, I don't know whether this concerns you, but it concerned me. He said, he said this on Zirkzee. Yeah, we had actually only just 1 or 2 team training session where everyone was there. So it was a very short period to work with him. Last week for 4 days, he did individual program. Then he did for 3 days group sessions. And now we're 100% with our team. So it's a very short period to assess him. He was a player in Germany. He was a player in Belgium. He was a player in Italy. He's already collected a lot of good experience and that will help him. But still he has to make a step and we have to help him. He and we need time to fit him in and that will take some weeks. Bullshit. That's all I'm saying. Bullshit, right? When we bought Martinez straight into the first team, and there are other examples as well, I prefer Ten Hag when he buys a player and you know it's a player he wants and he throws him straight in. If Zirkzee doesn't get thrown straight in today and he's going to have to be fed in, I really don't understand that because we already know that Ten Hag will throw a player in when he really, really, really wants them. And we really, really need Zirkzee. Rasmus is injured. So if we're going to feed Zirkzee in over the next few weeks when we desperately need a striker, I don't really get that because he's been training for 2 weeks. He was back at Carrington, not this week, the week before. So fitness levels, he's fine. Like, I get the fact that we need to integrate him into the team, but what better? I mean, he sort of answers his own question. You know, he's played in Italy, he's played for the Netherlands. He's not like he's like 16 and he's never played professional football. I want to see him. I want to see him start. I want to see Zirkzee start. I think this is the perfect game to give him an hour and then take him off. If we're going to play false 9 shit with Bruno at false 9 and Mount at 10, I worry about that a little bit, to be honest. But look, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I just thought it was quite interesting what he said about Zirkzee because it just sounded like we've bought a utility player that we might use over the next few weeks. He's got to prove himself. And I'm like, we've actually spent £40 million on a guy that was Bologna's top scorer. And Rasmus is injured. Let's throw him in. So that's sort of what I feel about that. But that's just an update of where we are with that. Do you think our formation will change with Zirkzee? I think our formation will change without Zirkzee, Ahmad. I think today Zirkzee won't start. I think because it worked in the final, we're going to do it again. Bruno will play as a false 9. Mount will play in the midfield with Casemiro and probably McTominay. And I think that it'll be Rashford and Ahmad on the wings and we'll look to hit them on the counter. I don't think we'll see anything from Man United today that we haven't seen before. I think it will be a deep line, a counter-attack with pace, hitting angled balls in behind their right back because Kyle Walker won't be playing. I think we'll be looking for Rashford about 100 times a game, trying to diagonally hit long balls in behind. That's my prediction for today. I don't think we're going to see... I mean, how can we see anything different? It's not like we're going to get our foot on the ball, pass between the lines, have 70% possession. Maguire's going to start. Casemiro's going to start. McTominay's probably going to start. Bruno's going to play as a number 9, dropping into the midfield. I can just see those long balls all the time, and it might work. It might work. It's worked before, but I think today will be quite predictable how we play. If we're bringing in defensive players like Dalot, Mazraoui, Yoro, Agate, I don't understand why we're getting rid of Wan-Bissaka. Ineos confusing us because they're not defensive players like Wan-Bissaka, Hyan. Wan-Bissaka is a player that suits a defensive system, whereas every one of those players are defenders who actually can play higher up the pitch. Thank me later. Would you take Sander Berge if United also got Agate, says Gear? I mean, that's a good question. It won't happen, but I would do, yeah. Mark Kennedy says, I'm not interested in Branthwaite. He had one good season and he's overpriced. Dalot all day long. Keep up the great work. Love the show, says Mark. Thank you very much. Cliff Irwin, welcome to Members Club. Hi, guys. Anyone know where I can find the FPL code, please? The one on Twitter doesn't work. Mark, thanks for the hard work you and the 2S team put in. I don't know what FPL code you're talking about, mate. We've got the Super 6 from last night, but we haven't got an FPL league as far as I know. Certainly not one that I'm involved in. We're doing one for the podcast. You can check the podcast out, but we've not got one for this because we're doing Soccer 6. I think we'd be better signing Branthwaite next season to replace Maguire, says Steg. I can't see his price changing that much by next season. Delete now. And if we get one, I've done that one as well. Yeah, so just to recap, watch out, Man United, Branthwaite, final week of the window. There is an expectation that United will go in with their third and final bid, around £50 million, and just drop it on Everton's toes with a week to go and see if they take it. All I'll say is that is within the corridors of power at Manchester United, whether you agree with it or not, they really want Branthwaite. They do. I like Branthwaite. I don't want to give Everton anywhere near what they want, but let's just see what happens with that. And Jamie says, what is happening with Dalot? In no way, mate, does that impact on Dalot. Dalot and Mazraoui are expected to still come to Manchester United, as we discussed last night. Malchut says, we'll see if he starts, not showing cards, says Malchut. Yeah, exactly. What's your score prediction for today, says Karan? I'm going to go 3-1 Man City, although... Seb was talking to me this morning and he said he fancies penalties, so I think he might have a better prediction than me, to be fair. Man United have now officially added Harry Amas, Toby Collier and Ethan Wheatley to their first team squad from Samuel Lucas. I mean, mate, please don't put that name in this chat. He's not a friend of the channel. I don't want to hear his name. Just say MEN. And also, I mean, at the end of the day, Slow Sports News. I mean, wow. You know, you've got Ornstein and Romano breaking transfer news all summer, and then you've got him stating the bloody obvious because he's got no sources. I mean, Amas, Wheatley and Collier are going to be with the first team this season. What? Sit down, Ornstein. I mean, it's the most obvious update in the world. Of course they're going to be. We've got no left backs. Collier's going to be the breakthrough player, and Rasmus is injured at the moment as well, so you do need Wheatley there. That was a big waste of 2 minutes. Any news of we're interested in Kingsley Coman since Bayern have said they're willing to? Never, Simon. Not for about 3 years have we had that. Usif, you've got yourself blocked. Well done. Chat shit, get banged, mate. Well done. Easy work there. Delusional Unicorn, shouldn't we play Zirkzee to prove the wingers can actually put balls into the box? If there isn't someone there, they're just going to take shots from outside the box. You know what? You just reminded me of a great point. I want to talk about this Dalot story. I want to talk about this De Jong story. But you've just reminded me of something very, very important there. I don't know how all of your mental health can handle United transfer windows. Absolutely maddening, says James C. And any United players in the Olympics, says Haas. Not that we're aware of. But I wanted to just say this. I think going into the new season, at some point, and you're not going to be happy with this, at some point we've got to have a conversation, probably next week, maybe Sunday night show's perfect, about expectations. for this season. Hopes and dreams and all that stuff. And I think that, Heartis, you blocked. I think that what's really important is that every individual fan has to set their standard, and every individual fan has to set their own expectations. But I just want to make this very, very clear, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and again and expecting a different outcome. So I'm going to say this to you now, and people can call me negative, and I mean they do it all the time, and moody and all that, and maybe you're right, but I'm not going to change course on this one at all. I will absolutely be saying it, and I will be doing it this afternoon as well. If I see wingers cutting inside and shooting, or running down an alleyway into 4 or 5 players, and specifically I'm talking Rashford, Antony, and I suppose Garnacho to a certain extent, and Ahmad, I suppose you've got to be fair. If I see that today or this season, I'm calling it out big time. Because if we just allow that to happen again, then we're never going to improve. And these players, I remember Matic playing for Man United at Old Trafford, and the Old Trafford crowd were getting on at him for passing the ball sideways, and he actually reacted to the crowd because he was like pissed off that he was getting so much shit for passing it sideways. I'm going to call it out this season, big time. I'm tired of it. If anybody watched the video we put up this week, the real reason Man United don't score enough goals, one of the biggest reasons we don't score enough goals is because we shoot from outside the box more than anybody else, and our accuracy is bottom half of the table. So we can talk about theories, or we can talk about facts. And if we see players shooting from 40, 30 yards consistently again in the first few games, I mean, it needs calling out, because it's such a massive problem. And whether Rasmus is up front or Zirkzee is up front or whoever, we've got to stop it. And some people might think, well, that's aiming it at Rashford or Antony or whoever. I think it's aiming it at Van Nistelrooy, Ten Hag and Rennie as well. They're the coaches. I guarantee you, if that was my team, it wouldn't happen. And it wouldn't happen in your team either. So whether it comes from Ten Hag or not, it needs to bloody stop. I agree with Malps. Eric Ten Hag needs to sort it out. I don't want to watch another season of people cutting inside and shooting badly. And look, just because we might score 1 every 4 or 5 games, not enough. You can't do it 5 or 6 times a game to get 1 goal every 5. Like, we need to be better. Acid23 says, Ornstein says no to Agate. Romano's been very quiet. Is it just a ploy by United? Also, top tier podcast Thursday. Agree with most predictions. Thanks, Acid23. Well, no, what David Ornstein said about Agate was that Man United had cooled their interest based on what the current situation was. And then the update we got last night was that the Agate deal is still on, but Man United need to sell a midfielder. So I think we need to sell a midfielder anyway. I think even if you want Sander Berge, we need to sell a midfielder. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Ethan Sutherland, thank you very much. Welcome to the super. Thanks for the super chat. Are you worried about the lack of youngsters going out on loan to gain experience? Love the show and have a pint on me, says Kristen. Mate, there'll be plenty of people going out on loan. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, I feel rough today. There's a lot of COVID going around, isn't there? I'm not saying I've got that. I'm not worried. I'm not saying I've got that, but I don't feel great today. I'm not worried about the lack of youngsters going out on loan, because I think that there would be no shortage of Vitek. Barnsley want Vitek. That's one. People will want Dan Gore. Joe Hugel's already gone out on loan. I think there's quite a few younger players that could go on loan, but they might decide to keep them as part of the setup. I don't think United ever really have a problem with using their, utilising loan systems for their young players, to be fair. We would have to offer De Jong nearly $1 million a week to match his Barcelona wage. Never happening, says Stuart. Oh yeah, I completely forgot. I mean, this is just what I think about the De Jong story, but it's a news show, so I've got to bring it in. There's 2 stories from Spain, actually. One of them is probably more credible than the other. But the first one is that Barcelona have set their price for De Jong. They want 50 million plus add-ons, £50 million. There is mention of Man United in the article, and it says that Man United would be looking to pay about 30. I don't want to do any stories about Frenkie de Jong to Manchester United, and I don't know who's with me, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to entertain it. I am not interested in Frenkie de Jong to Manchester United. I'm with Rui. It's not even snores for me. It's swear words. It really is do one. Like, I'm not interested in a player that didn't want to come, doesn't want to come, is paid stupid wages, and then Barcelona want to set a price of 50 million. Who do you think you are? Do one. Like, you want to get rid of him because you want to buy better players. You want to get rid of him because he's on a ridiculous wage. Why should Man United or any other club pay you a good fee to help you out? It's exactly the same as what we've got with Harry Maguire and Casemiro. We're not going to get market value for those players because their wages are stupid. So Barcelona are in exactly the same position. If Barcelona knocked on the door and said, you can have Frenkie de Jong for 20 million, but you've got to pay him 600 grand a week, then you might look at it and go, well, he's a 50 million pound player, 30 million. Even then, you're killing yourself on wages. It's just an absolute waste of time. I don't think for 1 minute Man United are in for him. And I'm just glad there's only 3 weeks left of this transfer window, because if we had a whole summer of this, I'd despair. I mean, look, Frenkie de Jong's a good player. There's no doubt about that. But I don't want United linked to Frenkie de Jong, because at every juncture of that deal, it's bullshit. The price Barcelona want, the wages de Jong wants, the fact that he doesn't want to come to United and isn't even hungry. No, 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 as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people talking about Hermoso to Man United. I tell you what, I'm happy to talk about this because I felt a bit like Fabrizio last night. I mean, I'd had a few, but you know how Fabrizio retweets his old tweets when there's an update, but not a massive update. So if he said 3 weeks ago that Man United want Ugarte and the negotiations are going well, if he retweeted that today, that means negotiations are still going well. But I retweeted my thing last night about Hermoso, which I said at lunchtime, where I said, you know what, it's grown on me. I quite like it as a free transfer for a 29-year-old to come in who can play left centre-back and left-back. And then you've got Amas coming through, who will be, you know, in 3 years' time, 20, and Hermoso will be 32, so he'll be gone. You know, it just works quite well, and not everything, you know, needs to cost money. Fabrizio has said that United are discussing it, so it's more than a Spanish report now. It actually is a report. I've got no issue with this deal. I don't have an issue with anybody who does have a deal with it, a problem. If you're like, I don't want Hermoso, I get it. I'm not like dancing in the moonlight with my top off, but my point is I'm not opposed to it because I think it's quite intelligent. I would say, in fact, somebody was messaging me about this last night. They were saying with Hermoso, a lot of people talking about him as a left back. Really, he's more of a left-sided centre back. That would be where he would play mainly. I don't know how accurate this is because it's third-party information, but he played a lot of games for Atletico Madrid last season. And I just think it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a terrible deal. I mean, I don't know what his wages are. Somebody just said there it would be wake up, Mark. He didn't play for 6 months before the Euros, says Wayne. I don't know. I checked his injury history yesterday, and I don't think he's got that many injury problems, so I don't know why he wouldn't have played for 6 months. But look, I don't profess to know loads about him, but I think on the face of it, for a free transfer, not everybody needs to come in for £50 million and be a first-team player. And I think his wage would be about 70 grand a week, maybe 80 grand a week, which isn't terrible considering what we pay players that are worse than that. I certainly think he'd be an upgrade on Lindelof, in the sense that he's left-footed for a start. Hi, Mark. Can you wish my mother, Jane Rooney, happy 58th birthday? She is also a Sir Jim sympathiser, says Michael Guest. There you go. And what do we know about this Hermoso lad, says Avinash? Well, we're just talking about him there. I mean, look, he's not gonna win the Ballon d'Or, but I think it's certainly one to keep an eye on. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I would love Gutierrez from Girona. I want a left back that can basically walk into this football club and say to Luke Shaw, "You're finished, mate." You know, and not in a nasty way, but in a I'm taking your spot. Simple as that. And I think that's what United would like to do. But whether we've got the money to do that, I don't know. I bought a signed copy of your book, Have a Pint on Me, says Carbon Fibre. Absolute legend, mate. Thank you very much. That reminds me, actually, if you haven't bought the book yet and you want to buy the book or you're thinking about buying the book, tomorrow is the day where we find out where we are in the bestsellers list, the Sunday Times bestsellers list for the week. We know we're in the top 10. There's talk it might be higher. Any purchases today, audio or physical, will count towards that. So bottom right hand corner is to subscribe. Scan the QR code on my right, audio books, links in the live chat and in the video description. Thank you very much. Will Chido, Obi Martin be on the bench today, says Steg? No, wouldn't have thought so. Tom says, I love the content, appreciate all the hard work you put in. If we're getting 3 or 4 signings, who do you think we'll get? Says Tom. Mazraoui, Dalot, midfielder, left back. Yeah, that's what my prediction would be. Stuart says we would have to offer De Jong nearly $500,000 a week to match his Barcelona wage. It's never happening. Yeah. United will never do it because they don't need to do it. But I'd love it if they just came out and said we will never ever sign Frankie De Jong. Stop linking us to him. Maybe I should say that. Atletico played wing backs. He was a left centre back, says Robert McCormack. And well, there you go. I mean, left centre back in a back five is basically a bit like Calafiori for Italy, isn't it? He can play left back and left centre back. We should look at Kone from Watford. He's a young Canadian player. He played for Canada in the World Cup and the Copa America. One for the future, says Hasha. Thank you very much. There we go. And I just wanted to talk as well. Spanish reports today caught my eye. Spanish reports today are saying that Real Madrid are looking long-term to replace Carvajal at right back, and they like the look of Dalot. Now, I only want to mention that, not because it's going to happen this summer, but we talk about the likes of Garnacho at some point is going to get approached by Real Madrid. Is this not actually something that we shouldn't necessarily dismiss? I mean, if a top club was looking for a right back at the moment, you could go, you know, what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, Dalot's very committed to Manchester United, but it's the development of Dalot that I think makes me happy about this story, is that he's not going to Real Madrid, not this summer. But the fact that Real Madrid might have Dalot on their radar just shows that, and I think Dalot's quite underappreciated, actually. And I think Dalot and Real Madrid links might have been laughed at a couple of years ago, but actually, I think there's a real logic to it now. I think if Real Madrid were looking for a right back, Dalot is probably a player that you would have on your list. And I think that's a testament to what we have in Dalot that we maybe don't appreciate. I'm not saying he's going to Real Madrid. I'm not saying he's going to go next year or he'll ever go. But I think what we have got there is a player that's, you know, massively important to us. And, you know, hopefully he'll be playing today and showing again this season just how valuable he is. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid did look at him over the next couple of years as well. I think he's a very, very good right back. And I think in the right system, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think he's a modern right back, says Lightning, exactly. And I also think that Tom Grant, no, I don't. I read every single one of them. Have a timeout. You can have 5 minutes for that. But the point I was trying to make about Dalot is it's like this is Toxic Saturday this morning. I don't know what's going on. But my point I was trying to make there before being rudely interrupted by Tom and his nonsense is that I still don't think we get the best out of Dalot. I think that with Dalot, again, we'd see more out of him. We talk about chance creation. We talk about the high line. We talk about playing out from the back. We talk about, you know, pressing the team, the opposition higher up the pitch. But we probably don't talk enough about how it impacts someone like Dalot, who, if we had a high line and we had a defensive centre-back pairing that played on the halfway line, Dalot would be attacking a hell of a lot more. And that's where I think you get more out of Dalot. You think about Dalot last season, who most people admit he had a very good season. And then you think about the season and the defensive line. We were defending a lot. Imagine Dalot in a side that put him in a Man City side. You'd have a much better right back. Put him in an Arsenal side. You'd have a much better right back. And that's what I'm saying. I think Dalot's done really well at United in recent years. But if we can sort how we want to play out, he will be an even better player. And I think that's why a Real Madrid might look at him and go, you know what? In a team like ours, where we're dominating the opposition, he would be even better than he is for Man United. And that I don't think that gets spoken enough about Dalot, is the fact that even though he's playing well for us, if we actually played the way we should play, he's very good at joining the midfield inverted. He's very good on the overlap and putting the cross on. And he's also worked a lot on his shooting. I think Dalot, I'm not saying he could be Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm not saying that. But I think if he played in a team where you attacked a lot and you did play with a higher line, he'd go up levels as well. And I think he had a good season last season anyway, but he would go up levels. So I think that I'm not saying he's going to Real Madrid. It just got me thinking about things. And what I will say is I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid did look at him. And also, I don't think we're getting the best out of him at the moment either. We did see it when we played Varane and Martinez, but the back line continually dropped back because we were forced to play centre-back like Maguire and Lindelof. Exactly, Emily. And thanks for being a member for 28 months, by the way, Emily. Mark, I'll take 60 to 75 million for Dalot from Real Madrid, says Andy. I mean, I don't think it'll happen, mate. I don't think it'll happen. But what I'm saying is I take it as a compliment. I mean, this is the world we need to operate in. People get really panicky when our players get linked to like Real Madrid and stuff. But we used to live through this all the time. Every summer, Inter Milan would want Scholes or Giggs, or Juventus would want Keane back in those days. It's not a problem. But Dalot's contract is until 2028 because he just signed a new one. So we're absolutely fine with Dalot. I'm not concerned about him going. I don't know what he's like as a person in the sense of, is his obsession to stay at Man United forever? Is he one of those players that would love to play for Real Madrid? I don't know, but it would cost them money. I think he's a massively important player for us. I think he's grown massively. I remember during COVID when he was playing for AC Milan and the stories coming out of Milan about his work ethic were fantastic. So I think we've got a really good player there. I didn't say he was better than Trent, cap or die. I tell you what, I need a break. I need a break this morning. I want to apologise to all the legends in the chat for the divergence this morning and the toxicity. We'll definitely be doing something about it. I don't know how we can go from an amazing show last night to what we've had to put up with this morning, and I don't really understand why it's happened, but we'll certainly be making a few things going on for the future, because we're not having this. We're not having this. Last night's show was so good, and today it's just been... It's the minority ruining it for the majority. So we'll be fishing them out. Don't worry about that. Anyway, legends, absolutely loved the show this morning, apart from those elements. We are live at 1:30, countdown to kick off in the studio. We've got Kev in there, and he'll be joined by, I forget who. Then I'm live half an hour before kick-off for the watch-along. We've got player ratings back for you today as well, match reaction, fan forum. We are going to be at Wembley as well, hopefully trying to get a couple of interviews, of course. So lots going on, and it is a match day. Looking forward to it. Our first proper look at Manchester United. I mean, look, Fulham will be bigger than this, but it's still competitive. It's about as competitive as you can get for a pre-season game. So very much looking forward to it. Glenn C says, in the pre-season games, the commentary was remarking that the fullbacks were being pushed high. So it'll be interesting if that happens today, says Glenn C. Also depends what commentary you're listening to. I mean, if you're listening to MUTV, I wouldn't trust it, to be honest. I didn't necessarily notice that. Right. Take care, everyone. See you at 3 p.m. Stay safe. Don't forget to order the book.